How to create threats with space. Have you ever wondered how to create real threats in chess using the space on the board? Let's break down some practical strategies to help you control the game. First, space advantage is all about controlling more squares than your opponent. When you have more territory, you can move your pieces more freely and restrict your opponent's options. To start, think about your pawn structure. When your pawns occupy key squares, like d4 and e4 for white, you gain strong central control. This allows your pieces to move more effectively while limiting your opponent's piece mobility. Advanced pawns, like a pawn on d5, can act as leaders, pushing into enemy territory and supporting your pieces behind them. Now, let's talk about pawn majority. If you have more pawns on one side of the board, you can push them forward to create passed pawns. Passed pawns are powerful because they can advance toward promotion without being blocked by opposing pawns. This forces your opponent to divert their attention and resources to stop them. One effective way to create threats is by advancing your pawns. Pushing them forward helps you control important squares, especially in the center. For instance, moving your pawns to d4 and e4 as white or d5 and e5 as black can prepare your pieces for action while cramping your opponent's position. Another tactic is to use pawn breaks. A pawn break is when you push a pawn to challenge your opponent's structure. This can open lines for your pieces. For example, advancing c4 to c5 can create attacking chances by opening lines for your rooks and bishops. Positioning your pieces behind your advanced pawns is also key. When your pieces support your pawns, they become more effective. Knights, bishops, rooks, and queens thrive in the space gained by your pawns. You should also aim to cramp your opponent's pieces. By controlling more squares, you can force their pieces into passive positions. This can create tactical opportunities, like forks or pins, that can lead to winning material. As you gain space, keep an eye out for weaknesses in your opponent's position. Look for isolated or backward pawns that you can target. Use your space to attack these weaknesses with your pieces. Finally, coordinate your rooks and queen on open files. When your pawn advances open a file, place your rooks and queen there to increase pressure. For example, putting a rook on d1 can contest the d file, making it harder for your opponent to free their position. In practice, remember that a space advantage is only useful if you actively use it. Your opponent will try to counterattack, so be cautious not to overextend your pawns without support. Create multiple threats at once, like attacking a weak pawn while preparing to advance a passed pawn. By leveraging your pawn structure and controlling more territory, you can create real threats on the chessboard. Use these strategies to gain an edge and put pressure on your opponent's position.